my name is Bria Thompson, and today I'll be discussing the gender discourse of girlhood as presented to us in chapters 4 and 6 in our text. What I'd like to begin with is that what the Cheetah Girls has shown me is that franchises like the Cheetah Girls, well, actually what I want to say is what the text pointed out about the Cheetah Girls in how they use this idea of girlhood and gender roles is that they take these girls out of their Western idea and make them into a global girl or global citizen, as mentioned by Marshall and Sensoy. Something that stuck out to me is the Cheetah Girls series relies on marketing strategies of contemporary globalization that have co-opted global diversities into a marketplace of multiculturalism aimed at selling the idea of global citizens as the empowered American girl who finds her cosmopolitanism by consuming the right products. They use the idea of girlhood to promote their products, saying things like, girls are always nice, girls always listen to their parents, girls they dress nice, they follow heteronormative boundaries and relationships and romance. Girls help their friends, they put others before themselves. And what this does is it pushes girls back. It pushes girls to think of, being the natural caregivers that is assumed of women and of girls, and assumed that their desires are to be caretakers or to be fashion designers or to be movie stars or singers and stuff like that. So they give them specific goals and roles and romanticize it, meaning that they make it seem way more glamorous than it is, making it seem that this is the right path for them, and putting them in places where other girls desire the same, kind of making, all girls are the same, and putting girls inside a box. And in this box, it ignores cultural differences, it ignores class differences, and location differences. So you have these girls from the Western Hemisphere and these girls from the Eastern Hemisphere coming over and bonding and creating a sisterhood over, basic things that is assumed that girls like clothes, music, and food, and romance. And it creates kind of a monolith for these girls, like all girls are the same and that there's nothing that divides them or puts them apart from each other. The reason why they do this is because it keeps their business alive. These assumed gender roles gives them the opportunity to kind of latch onto that and create kind of an empire, and using these ideas to sell their products. At the end of it, it's just because you buy this and because you support this, it means that you're this. Using these products in order to reinforce their girlhood and bring another part of them out, I guess. In order to combat this, it's really important to instill firm beliefs of girls and instill independence within girls and a clear thought of what they can be. Not what they should be, but what they have the possibility of being. And so Girls Inc. does this by giving them the opportunity to express themselves as they are, celebrating their individuality, celebrating their likes and dislikes, their cultures, their backgrounds, and also making sure that these girls know their rights. On the Girl Inc. website, what I found really interesting was that they have a Girls Inc. Girls Bill of Rights. I'll read some. Girls have the right to be themselves and to resist gender stereotypes. Girls have the right to express themselves with originality and enthusiasm. Girls have the right to take risks, to strive freely, and to take pride in success. Girls have the right to accept and appreciate their bodies. Girls have the right to have confidence in themselves and to be safe in the world. Girls have the right to prepare for interesting work and economic independence. This is actually a huge contrast between what franchises like the Cheetah Girls and things alike have for girls. It's a very different idea than what they want. For franchises such as the Cheetah Girls, they push on these stereotypical roles that they should be. So instead of having a girl's bill of rights, these companies have kind of a standard for girls, being that a girl should be nice, think about others before herself, try not to complain, have a signature fashion style, adopt a heterosexual lifestyle, dream of unrealistic career, work hard, and listen to her parents. Girls Inc. promotes education. They promote, a career path. They promote actually real life things that could further these girls into the world, and making sure that they know that they're more than just a monolith. They're more than just, being pop star Hannah Montana, or being Bubbles, or being, being a singer or a fashion designer. Although those are very great things and they can bring a lot of success to a person, it isn't always correct for some people. It doesn't fit all people. And what Girls Inc. does is it brings these girls out of themselves in order to discover what they like, what they dislike, what could be of possible interest to them. It takes them out of the streets and out of their area, because it does focus on underprivileged areas. It takes them out of those struggles that are focused because of their environment, and puts them in another environment where they can actually thrive and they can survive. They know their rights as a human being. They know what they deserve. They have a voice. They have a safe space to express their voice. And speaking of voice, another thing that has been presented to us in chapter 6 was the act of zigning and the practices of using that literary device in order to speak out. And that is one of the most important things that I feel everyone should have access to. This gives you resistance, and it gives you empowerment, and gives you control. And zigning itself was actually created because there was women who did not have the right or the safe space in order to express themselves. So what they did was they went ahead and they wrote down, whether that be literature, poem, things like that. They wrote it all down and they self-published. And the act of writing it down is giving yourself power, but the act of publishing it and putting it into the environment and making others see what you're seeing within your literature is actually the act of resistance, the act of resisting silence, and the act of resisting the oppression that's put upon you. I think one of the things that is relatable to me when it comes to the topic of zigning and the topic of standards and gender normatives that's pushed on me is the silencing aspect. As an African American woman, oftentimes people expect you to be loud and to be boisterous and kind of obnoxious and ghetto and things like that. And because of that, what happens is some African American girls have the tendency to shrink back into themselves, and they have the tendency to make themselves smaller and get rid of their own voice as an effect of the outside pushing in, So one of the things that was very important to me growing up was actually writing. And so I would write in order to have some type of control in order to have some type of voice as to what I'm saying. So a lot of the times when I was feeling a certain way, or when I was feeling angry, instead of expressing that openly, I would write it down and I would flush it out. And so that kind of gave me some of my power back. So as a form of resistance, I took a journalism class. And in journalism, you had, to present a certain aspect of life and of important things that impacted the school. And a lot of times some of my ideas weren't considered things that impacted the school, but it did impact the lives within the school.